Welcome back to another episode of STL Real Estate Roundtable. I'm your host, Jaden Barr, CEO and team leader of Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield. And today I'm joined by a very special guest. Angi Dunham. Angi, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Let's jump in. So I start off every episode the same way, which is what got you started in a career in real estate?
So I think mine was I was drawn into the business side of real estate. I like the income potential, the ROI, the strategy, content creation for social, like all of those things. And of course I like houses, but it was actually the business part that drew me in.
That's awesome. So what did you do prior to getting into real estate?
Always an entrepreneur, but I was in the same industry for 20 years. I was in all-star cheerleading.
Okay.
And so most people don't even think it's an industry.
Yeah, I want to know more about this.
So it's actually $1 billion industry. But it really consumed my life for about 20 years, but I wore every hat. My business partner and I owned a gym. We had multiple locations, brick and mortar. I did that for 15 years. But then on top of that, I coached cheerleading, tumbling, coached high school, college, choreography, judged, event producing. I worked for the Federation. So, I mean, I was like in it.
That is
deep.
Intense. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. But we had, I don't know, over the years, I probably had 600 athletes come through. And so, my goal was just to get these girls into college and get them scholarships and just produce good people. So
Okay. So were you coaching teams or just individuals, or how does that work?
both. So I had, we were competitive. So
Okay.
about 9 to 10 teams a year.
Okay.
And so we travel all around the country. We actually were the first all-girl team in Missouri to get a paid bid to Worlds. So it was good. It was fun, but very consuming.
Okay. So how long did you do that for?
So I opened my first gym at 21.
Okay.
Met my business partner in 2001, and then we ran that gym for 15 years. And so, I mean, I've been doing it for
Okay.
20.
And then I'm assuming you had a background in cheerleading prior to that?
Kind of, yeah. I started in middle school. I started coaching tumbling to pay for my lessons and pay for my tuition, just to keep me in the sport. And then it just progressed from there and stayed in high school and college, and then just started coaching kids. So
Okay. So how did your background in cheerleading and coaching and, being an entrepreneur and things like that, how did that translate over into the real estate world?
So I think that's probably what has helped me the most is just it's a lot of pressure. Brick and mortar is a lot of pressure to start with. Just, every month you have to be able to make those, end of the month bills and just pay for things. And you don't get into cheerleading to make money. You get in it to coach kids. And so I was really fortunate to just learn very quickly the business side of it. And it was really like a trial by fire. But I think the marketing on a shoestring and just trying to creatively come up with ideas every single month of how we're going to make this business work. We were really fortunate when we opened our doors. We actually had a line around the building to get in. And it was crazy. We're the first all-star gym in the area. So, I mean, the kids were just coming to us. But at the same time, to keep kids in any sport for 10 plus years, you can't tap out just your parents. You've got to find ways to make income. And so that's kind of where like event producing came in. And, we would host events to pay our taxes every year in April. We hosted every April. But just, summer camps, clinics, all those things, like, what do those revenue streams look like? And so that's really like the way my brain works when I come into real estate is what are my revenue streams going to be for real estate? And, you can't just rely on one stream. And so I think it translated really well. But so for me, I was very comfortable with the business. I was very comfortable with like, if I don't work hard, I'm not going to have an income.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. So I think that was probably the best part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's awesome. So you got licensed. What year was this?
So I got licensed in 2019. And at the time I'd already sold my gym. I was working for Varsity All-Star, which is the people that you see on TV, the ones that host all the ESPN events. And I was their Midwest sales director. So I was traveling around about 2 weekends a month hosting events around the country, and then COVID hit.
Okay.
And so I was hosting events with 20,000 athletes at some of these events, and it was just like an immediate stop. And so we were offered a severance package, and that was kind of my out. I was dabbling in real estate at the time. I was working open houses, knew I wanted to get out of cheerleading, but I didn't know how. And And so that was,
Kind of forced your hand a little bit.
oh, that was it.
Yeah.
Didn't have a job. Yeah.
Okay.
So my husband lost his job during COVID and I lost my job during COVID. So we both were unemployed
Okay.
with a real estate license. And so I went to my broker and I was like, okay, how can I do this? Like, I need to make $100,000 in 6 months. And he's like, and I said, is that even possible? And he was like, it's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I just jumped in.
That's
And
awesome.
At the end of the year, it was really a really neat story because at the end of the year, I made $101,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
Was it on like December 31st? You had
it
your
was
last
like,
closing?
yeah, I was like so teary. I was like, oh my gosh, this really works. Like, how did this happen? So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2019, you get licensed. 2020, world shuts down.
yep.
You say, I got to make it in real estate. I got to pay some bills.
Yep.
We got to figure this out. Take me through kind of like the next, path of your career. Like,
So
where has it gone since then?
I didn't realize how fortunate I was to start at Sotheby's. That's where I started. Most people don't start there. I begged to come on. They originally said no. They're like, no, we don't really take new agents. And I was like, no, this is where I want to work. And I don't think I really knew until later, like how lucky I was to just be watching these legacy agents take care of their clients. And I learned firsthand, like, okay, no, this is a different style of real estate and this is a very different style of service. And so it was just great. I mean, I look back now and I'm like, okay, this is how my normal business runs, but I don't know if it would have been the same path if I wouldn't have started there. So that was really fortunate looking back at that.
Awesome.
My mentor, Allison Holloway, was my mentor. She's still one of my good friends. I mean, I still call her all the time. She's my person that I call when I jump off the ledge or when I'm like excited. So I think, she played a big part of it. And then just a lot of those legacy agents, just watching how they do business. So it was good.
That's awesome. Okay. So, what do you think have been like the keys to your success? Obviously, you said in your first year you did 101,000.
I did. Yep.
Okay. And so 101,000 GCI, then kind of like what has led to where you are today? Cause you're top producer, you're, featured on Real Producers and all these things. Right. So, you're clearly recognized as, one of the top agents in the area. Kind of what has led to that success over the years?
I think it was just the, one, it was just, I had to make it. I didn't really have a choice. I think that's part of it. I think anytime that you're put in a situation where you don't have a choice to make it, I think there's just no other way but to make it. So I think that was part of it.
Yeah.
But then I went from solo agent to team agent and I was like, and I didn't really look for a team. It just kind of fell into my lap. But I think coming from that background of having a brick and mortar, I always had a staff, I always had coaches, and it was just very natural. Like, oh yeah, I'll just start a team. That's easy. This is just part of what I do. And then I did that for a few years. Then really until August of this year, I had been really promoting my team and we had a team of 7. And it was a lot. I loved my teammates and I loved the collaboration and I loved like having that group of women around me. But I don't think I really realized how much it was taking a toll on my production until later. But just really getting in and making sure that I was touching my clients and doing the things that I should have been doing to get the referrals and make it a referable process. Yeah. But I will say the team part made me write down my processes, made me write down my systems, made them duplicatable because I needed to be able to show you, okay, this is what you do from contract to close. This is what you do from call to contract. And so making those systems really duplicatable is something that the team forced me to do, which was good.
Yeah. Yeah. So getting your systems in line and
yes,
figuring that out. Yeah. So what were some of the challenges in running a 7-person team?
I don't know if there's really, I would say hours in the day.
Yeah. Time. Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah. Time away from my kids, time away from my family. I think mental bandwidth of, I was really the rainmaker for the team for a long time until everything kind of started to level out. And so I think just trying to take on as many clients as I was doing, plus running the team, plus doing the systems and processes. We were an event team. And so we were hosting 6, 8, 10 events a year. Again, that is something that went right back to cheerleading because I was so used to doing events and it was just like very normal for me to do that. So I think a lot of those things came into play, but I learned very quickly in real estate that if you're not setting appointments and being in front of people, you're not making money. So if you're not out showing open houses, listing appointments, events, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. If you're not talking to people about real estate, you're probably not going to be in real estate very long.
Yes, you're not going to be in real estate very long. Yeah, very true. Very true.
Say that loud for the people in the back.
I know. It's like, there's a lot of Sundays that I'm like, I do not want to go show houses today, but here I am. I'm showing houses today to 2 and 3 clients. So, I think, but I've learned over the years that there's ways to make it better for yourself, like on a personal level. I don't even know why it took me this long to realize this, but like setting an appointment time on Thursday for like your time that you're seeing houses this week is at 10 a.m. on Sunday. I don't know what we're going to see, but this is the time that we have. And I think those kinds of things of like time blocking have really helped me just to be able to like make sure that I have time for my kids and I'm not missing activities. And, that's everyone gets into real estate and they're like, oh, I want to get into real estate because it's flexible, which is not true.
Yeah.
I guess it can be true, but you have to make it that way. It just doesn't become that way because it can very much overtake your life.
You have to do a great job of setting expectations with clients and then also setting boundaries for yourself. I think that's the hardest part of, being a real estate agent that is producing a lot. You've always got clients to work with, but figuring out a way to be time efficient with that and then also set boundaries when necessary. And
I don't think I did that very well. I didn't do that well with my, in the beginning. I didn't do that well when I was scaling. And then when I had a team, I really didn't do that well. I was just constantly working. I was working 7 days a week. I took off 2 weeks, I think in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. And even on those 2 weeks vacation, I was, I remember we were in Hawaii, so it was 4 hours earlier. I'm up in the morning. I'm working 2 to 3 hours in the morning a week and I never shut it down. And so I think this has really been the first time that I'm like, okay, I've got to set some boundaries. I've got to like get some personal time. I'm going to burn out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So you mentioned kids, right, and family and how important that is to you and not missing things, right? Yes. And so maybe talk to me about just what it's like being a mom in real estate and kind of lessons learned over the years and how you've, adjusted to that and, maybe improved on making that family time a priority.
I think we still try to have dinner as many nights at the table as possible. I think that's really important to have dinner at the table. I don't always cook. I will say my husband has been great because when I'm in like the thick of my busy season and I just don't have time to do anything other than take calls and do appointments and I'm squeezing in sporting events and art lessons and things like that, like he's really good. I don't think during that busy season from like 2021 to 2023, I don't think I grocery shop but like 2 times, like those whole 2 years. And I don't know if I even cooked a couple meals. So like I really relied on him to make sure that a lot of those things were done and our schedules are opposite. So it's really great. He has his real estate license, which is nice. So he does help me. But he's also a day trader. So he's usually done by like 12. Yeah. So I don't know if I could have done it without him having that second person to rely on. But then also too, just like really looking at the things in my life of like, what do I need to be at? And what are the things that someone else can do? And so I think that has helped too, and that's what really led me to like, I need a TC, I need help, I need marketing help, I need, these are the things that I really need help with. And if it's going to take me too many hours, I know probably year 3, somebody sat me, I think one of my brokers sat me down. It was Jason Pasha. He sat me down and he said, you need to figure out what your dollar per hour is. And he sat down and we figured it out. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a big deal. He's like, why are you doing these things? And so, I think what makes sense. And so really learning how to like delegate some of those things. And then I schedule my time in, like, I know art lessons is like really important for my son. I made sure I was there for pickup. And then I also shut my phone off every day from 3 until about 4:30.
Okay.
Just to try to, I'll work after they go to bed. But that morning time, I don't look at my phone until 9 o'clock. I get them off to school. I don't want to be on the phone. There's no reason for me to be taking calls at 9. And then I think at some point you just realize no one's dying over real estate.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I don't know why that didn't like hit me in the first 2 years. Yeah. But yeah, no one's dying over real estate. Nothing's going to blow up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would say just what you said there, like that is better than 99% of agents out there, right? Not looking at your phone till 9, having a window of time where you're not on your phone. I think that is you're probably ahead of most agents out there.
It took me a little while
when it comes to that. Yeah.
It took me a little while because I was just constantly on my phone the whole time. And I'm like, no, I've got it. Like, there's got to be some time that when my kids get home from school, like I want to hear about their day. I want to find out what happened, you know, all those things. And she's 16. And so I'm really seeing now that I thought 16, I was so excited for her to get her license. And now I'm like, okay, she's never home. Like this is kind of the lead up to like where we're moving towards. And then now I'm kind of starting over with the 10-year-old. But so it's been good, but I think it's been really eye opening.
Yeah.
To try to just squeeze everything in.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned a lot of leverage pieces, right? Knowing your dollar per hour and then delegating and giving tasks off that someone else can do, right? Taking off the cape, right? That we like to wear as agents sometimes. What's the biggest piece of leverage that you found that's been helpful for your business?
I think the one thing that and this is back to coaching. I learned this in coaching, but, and it kind of came into play too from my previous life, but working that split schedule for me has always been really good. So like I feel like real estate can be an all day thing, and I don't mind it to be all day. Like I don't mind to be working throughout the day as long as I have some good breaks and I schedule some things in, but I do time block and I religiously time block. So like I call it my IPA hours, but I learned this in coaching. It's your income producing hours. You have to have your IPA time because if you're not doing income producing activities, you are not making money. And I don't get into the weeds of my deals till after lunch. And I am really strict about that. Now, when I had my team, I always checked in, but I felt like that was probably the hardest thing for me was like, I've got to set a time to what's income producing activities? How am I bringing in money? How am I prospecting? What are the things that are going to make my business work for me after this deal closes? And then after that 12 o'clock time, you know, obviously if somebody needs a phone call or whatever, I'll take it, but I don't check my email. I don't, you know, I kind of scan through it. If something needs to be answered quick, I will, but I really try to like set those morning hours. Yeah.
I just, as of a couple months ago, I turned off notifications for my email on my phone. Yeah. And oh my gosh, it is like a whole new world that I'm living now. It's like I just check my email like sporadically, maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the day, as opposed to like an email comes in and then it sidetracks me, right? So that's been a huge help for me. And then I also have the brick device. I don't know if you've got notifications for this.
Nope.
But it's just a little device that attaches to your fridge or wherever you want it in your house. You hit your phone to it and it disables like any apps that you want disabled.
Oh, wow.
And so like, that's nice. Talk about like connecting with your spouse or with your kids or anything like that. If you're distracted by your phone constantly, get the brick. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's like, I'm not wearing a watch. I religiously wore my iPhone or my Apple Watch and I don't wear it anymore because it would stress me out. Like I would see things coming in. And I wore it like to get my steps in is why I originally started wearing it.
That's the only reason I wear mine.
I know.
I have it on Do Not Disturb constantly.
I know.
I don't want notifications. All I want to know is my steps.
My steps. I know. I'm like, it's so silly, but I just want to know what my steps are every day. But I ended up now, I have not really worn it since, I think I took it off in spring. So I was like, no, I want to have a good summer with my kids. I want to be able to, yes, I do take my laptop to the pool sometimes and I would rather work from there than at home.
Yeah.
But you know, there's certain days that, you know, I'll tell my kids like, hey, I'll take you to the pool, but I have to work while I'm there. And so they're good with it. And, you know, but I still feel like if I have my phone on, I'm constantly just needing to feel like I get back to people.
For sure.
And so.
For sure.
Yep.
You mentioned income producing activities. So what do those look like for you and where has most of your business came from over the past, 12 to 24 months?
So I think looking at I definitely track mine. I mean, I track it really closely as far as like, some people call it pillars. I still call it revenue streams because it was always a revenue stream for me of what do those revenue streams look like? And for me, it has always been, it's gotten to the point where it's referrals and SOI, which is great. It was not like that in the beginning. In the beginning, it was all open houses. And I always felt very lucky to be working open houses for $1 million. It was funny in the beginning, you would see, I'd have an 800 and I'd have like a 99. The open houses that I'm sitting for Ted White and Alex Thornhill, I would, luckily get a buyer for, but then I'd have my regular stuff too. And so I feel like over time it's become more level, which is nice. And I live in O'Fallon. And so I truly believe in that St. Louis is definitely moving west. And I love seeing that expansion and that growth west. But that's something else that I've kind of looked at for the revenue streams is like, live, eat, work, play. My kids go to school here. I'm involved in their schools. I'm involved in all my activities are out in Lake St. Louis and O'Fallon. And then, lenders and vendors, having those relationships with lenders and vendors and what do those look like? And then client gifting. I have a great client gifting program. Just trying to stay on top of, just different touch points throughout the year creatively, and what does that look like, and really customizing those to people. And I tag people in my CRM, like single or moms or pets or new baby or whatever it is, and really trying to be thoughtful with those gifts and kind of group them accordingly, downsizers, things like that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So the lead generation time block for you, what does that look like on a daily basis?
So it's looking at, I use AI for sure. We have Real Scout at my brokerage at Red Key. And so that is kind of like almost like a likely to sell tool that I had used before. But that likely to sell tool or that AI just shows me like, okay, who is looking, who's thinking about it, who are my top 100. I have a top one, mine's 137, but I have a top 137. So my top 137 that I have in a spreadsheet that I'm really paying attention to, and who have I not contacted. But I live in a CRM, and I'm constantly tracking to see, even if it's a phone call, if it's a text, it's not usually about real estate. And I think that's really what has served me well. And I noticed that when I first started real estate, it was always my business is helping you, or my business is reaching out to you. And now it's like, I don't even do that anymore. It's just me personally.
Yeah.
And that has helped so much. It's just contacting people because
staying top of mind.
Yeah. Because I like them, and because they like me, and not because it's real estate.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I always tell people, you mentioned CRM, and I think there's so many shiny object syndrome is a problem for agents.
For agents, yeah. We're all
it's a problem
yeah.
for everyone, but real estate agents in particular, right?
Yes.
Wondering what the best CRM tool is, or the next AI tool, or what should I be doing for social media, all these things, right? I always tell people the best CRM tool is the one that you use.
Yes.
Right. It can be a stack of index cards. It could be an Excel spreadsheet. It can be, Follow-Up Boss, Command, Flow Desk, whatever, I don't know, whatever it is for you, it's funny that agents are so like, well, I got to switch CRMs, and this CRM stinks, and this CRM's great, and all this stuff. And I'm just like, well, have you used it? All right. That's the big question.
That's the question.
Have you used it?
I agree. I totally agree.
You got to be talking to people about real estate in order to sell real estate. So
I think too, like shiny objects is lead prospecting is a good example of this. Is the best lead prospecting is the one you do, because it's got to come naturally to you. Because if it doesn't come naturally, like I tried Zillow Leads, like a very small spend, and I'm like, I'm not a Zillow Leads person. Like I am not transactional. There's no loyalty. It's just not something for me. I don't want to go meet someone I don't know in a zip code because I can't afford a good zip code. I mean, I'm not spending, tens of thousands of dollars. So I'm like, I don't want to go drive 40 miles from where I live to go meet someone that I don't know. It's just not what I want to do. And so I think that, the lead prospecting, whatever comes naturally, there's so many things that work. You just got to figure out what works for you and what you'll do. And if you'll do it, it works. But it's got to be consistent. It's just consistency.
And track it over time.
And track it, yes, for sure. But I think client gifting has really been probably the best lead source for me. And it could be anything from events to just, little things like pies at Thanksgiving. I do a Galentine's Day party, just taking my neighbors out for Cottleville to the pop-ups, whatever it is. It's those things, and it's just staying top of mind.
Yeah.
So.
I stole an idea for client appreciation from Lindsay Reichelt at Compass. She does a birthday Starbucks gift card.
Oh, that's fun.
And so you get an email with a Starbucks gift card, but it's not like just a $10 gift card that you're spending on every birthday. It's only if they use it. So it's like a preloaded card. And once it gets down to a certain, threshold, then it reloads. And so it's essentially a gift card, but only if they use it. Right.
Yes.
And so,
I think there's so many people that have they have so many good gifting touches.
Yeah.
I know I get so many from different people too. And I'm like, oh, that's so creative, but it is. And I know I do think you can overspend on it.
Oh, for sure.
I know, like when we had, 2020, when I was looking back through my ROI as far as like, okay, how much did we spend on this year in gifting? And like when I had my team, we did a lot of events. And I mean, it was a ridiculous amount of money one year. And I was like, okay, I don't really know if we got anything from this. And it was large events. We were constantly hosting large events. And that's really when I kind of changed my mindset of like, okay, this year I'm going to flip the script, and I'm going back to intimate events, coffee,
micro events,
3 people, 4 people. Hey, let's meet for happy hour. Let's go to a movie. Let's hit this. And some of those larger events are nice, but it's like really just getting people together that have matching interest.
For sure.
And so I think it's been good. It's less money and a little more,
Yeah.
a little more like designated time for those people.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So you're a solo agent now, or do you still have?
yes,
Okay.
yep.
So, do you have a transaction coordinator still?
Yes.
Admin,
Yep.
virtual assistant? Like, what does that look like? What's your current setup right now?
So when I just went back into solo production in August.
Okay.
So it's been, 3.5, 4 years as a team and then back into solo. I have a transaction coordinator.
Okay.
She's great. Just really working through that process of that, contract to close process and making sure that we're hitting all systems, you get this email and this is prompted. And so just making sure that process is really smooth. A logistics phone call. I've kind of worked through some things, and it's really switching back to solo it's made me come back to my why I like real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I like the time with people. I like helping people. I like, it's all the things that you want to do and that you lose sight of sometimes when you get too busy.
Yeah.
And then really looking at your systems and process of what works, and little things like I used to send out a logistics email. And the logistics email was, okay, this is your utilities and this is when, and I feel like there was a lot of things that were missed. I'm like, okay, no, this needs to be a phone call. Like, this is a phone call. My buyer's consult is a Zoom or it's in person. Like, it doesn't need to be like on the fly at a house or a phone call. Like, it needs to be an actual, like, intentional, purposeful, like, we really need to take this seriously. And so I think some of those things, just changing them, I think has really helped. And then just trying to streamline a bunch of stuff. But really right now it's just a transaction coordinator. I will say I get a lot of help from my brokerage for marketing. I have like a marketing request form that I can put in for just anything from like brochures to, and those things get created. Awesome. And then I just approve and go, which is good.
Cool. Yeah, I think figuring out what you enjoy doing, what comes naturally to you, kind of like what we talked about with like lead generation, and then also just in general, like with real estate, I think I've got something in my buyer consult and listing consult. It's 179 ways I add value throughout a transaction. And it goes through everything that a real estate agent does throughout the transaction. And a lot of times, like, people don't realize, clients in particular, they don't realize all the things that are going on behind the scenes. And, ideally, the smoother a transaction is, the less they know about. Right. And so you kind of get to the end and it's like, the clients might be wondering, like, what did they actually do? Like, everything was so easy. Yes. It's like, yeah, because of all the processes and all the things that we were doing behind the scenes. So
I agree.
I think figuring out, of that list of that's comprehensive, a lot of things go on, figuring out, okay, what do I actually need to be spending my time on? And then what can I be delegating, and what is draining my energy and what's giving me energy, and then figuring out how to build out your business from there.
But I think we have to provide value. We have to show our value. I think we've always provided value.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of that luxury though of, I feel like that luxury service that you try to provide and that one step above is like, you just hand them their keys on a silver platter and say, congrats. And they have no idea what happened. So I completely agree with you. I've started doing that too, of like, okay, here are the things that are happening this week and here's what we've done. And and I think on the sell side, it's really important because houses are sitting on the market and it's just constant, providing data and, how do you compare to everyone else in your area and making sure that they're getting the market data.
Yeah. If the home is sitting, I always go into that conversation, the weekly update call with like, hey, here's the showing activity with, hey, here's what's happened. And then here's what I'm doing to generate more activity, or here's our next steps. Right. And always coming to the problem with a solution rather than just saying, hey, we got a problem.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And kind of throwing your hands up in the air, going into it with a action plan is always good.
Well, I think I had a house that was, it was kind of an odd price point. And I feel like when the market did slow down last year, the outskirts got hit the hardest. I mean, I feel like St. Charles County slowed down for the first time. Really, I mean, since I had been in the business, I had never even...
Well, they were actually, St. Charles County was hotter than St. Louis County.
Yeah, which is sad.
For a few, for a couple of years.
And then last year was hard. I mean, it was just, nothing was moving. And I think too, like last year we were competing so much with new construction. It's hard to compete with new construction. When you've got an almost new house and somebody's like, I just don't really like the cabinet colors. I think I just want to go new. And then the builders are offering financing discounts. And so I think that was just something that we had to overcome. But when I really thought like, gosh, like did I price this right? You know, and I'm second guessing myself. And then I go back and I pull numbers and I'm like, okay, no one else is going into contract either. There's not been a single house in our price point that has gone into contract in the last 6 weeks in your school district. That kind of gives me that feeling of like, okay, this isn't us. This isn't an us.
We're doing the right things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm glad it's starting to move a little more, you know, it's getting a little more normalized again.
Yeah, for sure.
It was scary for a little bit.
Looking at the business that you built, right, where you are today, what's the one thing you're most proud of?
I think my retention and my referral rate is probably, nothing makes me happier than getting a text message that says, hey, I'm connecting you with my friend, or I really want you to help. I actually just left a closing this morning, and my inspector had actually referred this couple to me about a year ago, and I sold them a house, and then I sold their best friends a house, and then today I sold their parents a house. And so it's like, right. It's just that I don't, you know, that circle of just all full circle. And that's what I really think I'm probably the most proud of. I am actually really listing heavy right now, and I love selling listings and I love helping them, but I also really love getting to know, I feel like I really get to know the buyers because I get to know their lifestyle, and I don't try to sell them a house based on bedrooms or baths. It's like, do you like to patio sit? Do you like to, you know, where do you take your dog? You know, where do your kids take soccer lessons? And, you know, we really trying to build their lifestyle and just sell that lifestyle. And I think that's why I become so close to my clients. But yeah, I mean, I'm just really good friends with, I would say 99% of my clients. I mean, they're truly friends. Like, I like hanging out with them. And so I think that's probably the coolest part is before I think it was, I was trying to do real estate and I was trying to do life. And then now I've just kind of realized that like, it is all intertwined. Just making sure you have some boundaries put in place.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good pro tip.
Yeah.
Good pro tip. Okay. Final question here. What's been the most impactful book or podcast that you've read? Can be real estate related, non-real estate related, business, entrepreneurship, whatever. Cheerleading.
Yeah. I think I have two right now that are real estate that I think that I am religiously following. One of them is Ask Jim Miller. I do it every Monday morning. He does a coaching call every Monday morning at 9. It's public. You don't have to pay for it. It's great. But he is the broker at Jameson Sotheby's in Chicago. And he's just really good about breaking things down to practical tips weekly. And it follows the market. And I think that that's probably one of the best things that I've done. Love that one. And then my second one that I just found is Lacey Newman, Aligning with Lacey. She's really she caters to moms in real estate and trying to juggle your kids, your schedule, and still trying to be there. Because I think that's the one thing that's the hardest for moms is the things that we want to do, like you get overwhelmed with, you know, I'm always the room mom. I'm always bringing cookies. I'm doing all the teachers' gifts. I'm hosting the bingo nights. I'm doing all those things. But then you get overwhelmed with it. My husband's always like, you never say no. You always take on too much. But I'm like, those are the things that I want to do. Yeah. Like moms want to do those things with their kids. The things we don't want to do are the cooking, the cleaning, that stuff. And so I think working real estate into that, and how do you work your clients into your family life and just keeping those boundaries. I did her vision planning. It was a 4-hour class, and I did the vision casting and vision planning for 2026. And it really made me sit down and look at how can I make this work and how does it work for me? And it doesn't have to look like everyone else's. And so, and just following her, I think those are probably the two that they're very different, which I like, but I like both of, I mean, those are probably my two right now that I like the best. Awesome.
Real quick before we go here. So what is the vision? Kind of what does the future look like for Angi Dunham in real estate?
I think my 2026 is really looking at moving west with real estate. I mean, when I first started in real estate, I feel like, yes, St. Charles County was a talking point, but I feel like it has really become a big player in St. Louis real estate. And I think, you know, moving west, whether it's luxury real estate in St. Charles County, I think is really taking center stage and just trying to be a part of that conversation. Just really being proud of like where I live, and selling west of 270 is, you know, it's
across the river.
You know, when I first started, it was, oh, you cross the river? I'm like, well, I live there. But even, you know, it's just, I don't know. I think it's definitely a conversation, but I think looking west and really just trying to expand that and making a name for myself in luxury real estate in that area is definitely on the forefront, which is, you know, I'm part of that expansion team right now for Red Key for moving west for Lake St. Louis. And so I think that is probably a big focus right now.
Yeah.
And then just really capitalizing on the clients that I do have and just making sure that I'm taking care of them and serving them in a good way. So that way it's like a repeatable, referable business. So
Yeah.
that's
Awesome.
cool.
All right. Well, Angie, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I know everybody watching, listening is going to get a ton of value from this episode. So thank you for taking time.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you on the next episode.